for 2024, and that is our nation's anthem with your photos. How about the kid on the motorbike with the giant flag?
Loved it.
Don't ban that from the school parking lot. Good morning, and don't adjust your television sets. You're not watching Fox Business.
Whoa. No.
You're not. Rachel, who's with us today?
It's Brian Brenberg.
Could trend that way a little bit, though, depending on what we talk about.
If you didn't have your reading glasses on, you might have thought it was Will.
It's true.
Some people say that we look a little bit alike. I think he's a little more handsome. I'm going to give him that right now. But
don't give him that. Don't give him anything.
Tough to fill this spot, but it's good to be with you guys.
Don't worry, he's not watching right now.
No, he's definitely
He's not up at 6 a.m.
We don't have to be nice to Will.
He's not even here. When he's here, he's not even here at the 6 a.m.
Ah, okay.
He phones it in.
First dig at Will. It's 6:02, and he already got the dig in on me.
You got the dig in. Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah. And we've got plenty going on this week. Rachel, great to see you, too.
It's good to see both of you. And I was really amazed when I saw this interview that came through. So everybody's been challenging Kamala Harris to do an interview. And she finally sat down with a local reporter who asked some pretty basic questions, to which we all kind of went, what happened? She was a little more prepared at the debate. It didn't seem like she had it with her. Listen to some of these. We're going to have a couple clips for you to show. So here's one where she's just asked directly about the economy and what she'll do to bring inflation down. A very basic question that she evaded at the debate. This guy tried to nail her on it, and here was her response.
At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. I wonder if we could drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. My opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family.
So Pete, as somebody who does you're very lawn conscious.
I love a good green lawn.
So when
she
said, they care about their lawns.
You care about? I was like, yes.
You were in.
You're speaking.
You leaned in on that one.
I really did. I said, I get it. I love a green lawn.
That.
And it makes me feel better. It's how I vote, actually.
Yes.
It's based on the green lawns. So, by the way,
fertilizer's up, by the way.
Is it?
Way up.
She went back to ABC. This guy asked 5 questions. I don't remember an interview. I mean, we get 5 questions in a 3-minute segment on Fox and Friends.
Right.
So she agrees to one interview, 5 questions. That's one answer. Brian, you're going to have to help me out. Once she got through the whole stem winder,
right, took a while.
Are either of those proposals things that will address inflation? Because I believe that's what the original sort of question was about, bringing down prices.
Hard to remember the original question because she took so long. It was about an opportunity economy, right? So she finally gets to this idea of we're going to give this.
Her directly about inflation.
Yeah, about prices going up.
Well, that's not her strong suit. So she went to the $50,000 tax credit for small businesses. And look, small businesses are really important, obviously. But the follow-on question, if anybody would ever ask one, is, okay, so you give them a tax credit when they start, but what happens when they grow? What happens when they succeed? What happens when they're actually doing something well? Well, under her plan, what you get is a bunch more taxes, right? So you plant the seed, but as soon as it sprouts, you cut it off. That doesn't work for opportunity if you're a small business owner.
I mean, if you want to address inflation, you do what Donald Trump said. I'm going to bring American energy back. I mean, that really directly impacts what you pay at the grocery store, your operating costs at your business, whatever.
And $25,000 on a down payment just means you're paying $25,000 more for a house.
Well, that's
the
problem. You know, even if you ask somebody who backs her and you kind of like, hey, what's that really going to do? They'll say, yeah, it's going to raise housing prices. She says she wants more housing supply, but she doesn't have any details on how to do that. So, yes, that's totally inflation.
And you watch this clip, and it is a repeat of her answer at the debate where she also did not answer. So they're probably thinking, okay, she did a lot of homework. Let's quick do an interview because she's done all that homework and maybe she'll be okay and she's all prepped.
But it went in and out right after the debate, I guess. Here she was asked about, how is she different from Joe Biden?
Given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work and maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life. My focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century.
What? Is she running for president?
So the secret here...
Senior class president?
So this one I can remember the question he asked because it was a slightly less long answer. And he said, what makes you different from Joe Biden? And the answer was, actually, if you just cut it right down, was nothing. I'm the same. That's why she can't answer the economy question, because you're going to get the same regulation, the same spending. There's nothing new here, which means the result is going to be the same. Prices aren't going to come down. They're going to keep going up. That's the subtext of what she just said.
I'm just so surprised at how bad she is at BSing. I mean, Joe Biden BS'd a lot. Remember when he would go from the bottom up, from the middle out, but he owned it, right? Like he owned that. She doesn't even own the BS that she's putting out there. It's just shocking. When I saw this, Pete, I tweeted out that this should be required viewing for everyone who registered to vote via the post from Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris. Every Swiftie should have to watch this. Yeah, first.
Registered now, consider this. As the kids would say, the whole thing is just cringy. It's really hard to watch. And she's, I don't know, she eventually lands the plane at a child tax credit, but
not a new idea.
No,
by the way, just more spending.
And by the way, only for your first kid. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. First, right away, you get something, and then as soon as the kid grows up and you got to buy groceries, you're going to get inflation again.
Because they only want you to have one.
Oh,
that would be
all right.
That would be the environmental decision.
The max, yes. Well, this interview got to President Trump, who was in Las Vegas talking about his economic plans. Here's his take on VP Harris's 5-question interview.
She had a terrible interview today with the Philadelphia TV station, a big word salad. She just kept talking. She had no idea what the hell she was saying. She reminded me of sleepy Joe Biden. I will fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. And we will have no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. No tax on Social Security. And then we wheeled out a great one, and I actually think this is going to be fantastic for the country as well as the worker, because a lot of people are going to be working overtime. And just yesterday I announced that there will be no taxes on overtime. No taxes and overtime.
What do you think of that, Brian? No tax on Social Security, overtime, or tips?
Well, so the overtime one is great. There's a lot of debate on this one, but I'm a guy who likes lower taxes always. And I'm also a guy who likes giving incentives to work more. And
Sure.
if you don't tax overtime, it's actually a very conservative principle. Now, conservatives would say, well, you should broad base, low taxes and everything. And I agree with that. But what he's trying to signal is you keep more of your own money.
Yes.
And that is the big contrast to Harris, who's always saying, I'll take it and give it to somebody else. He's saying, you just keep it. In fact, keep more of it. If you work harder, I'll let you keep even more of your money. That's a winning idea.
It's also a signal to who he cares about. These policies are about the people that he says work the hardest in America. And no, who can argue with that? I mean, who can argue with that? So I think that I think it's good economically, frankly, for people's bottom lines and their families. But I also think it sends a really great message, and it's on brand for the president, who's always been for the working class.
I mean, who can argue with that? Not a weekend host who works 8 hours a week.
Is that all you want?
That's all you guys want?
Yeah, we work 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday, 8 hours a week.
Well, I have a new show coming up, so I'll be working an additional 3 days.
Oh, man, you're going to work more?
Yeah.
Well, that's overtime. You're not going to get
I'm
taxed on that.
Hispanic. We always work harder.
Pick up the slack, Pete.
All right, maybe a little bit more than that.
We'll be talking about that show, too, by the way.
Yes, I'm excited.
All right, well, the Boeing Starliner astronauts who've been stuck in space for months, taking questions for the first time in weeks.
And the crew members say they're grateful for their extended time aboard the International Space
They're
Station.
looking a little bored, hanging upside down. Chanley Painter joins us with the details. Hey, Chanley.
Hey, good morning. So despite it all, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore seemed happy and healthy in their first press conference since their problem-plagued space capsule, the Boeing Starliner, returned to Earth without them last week. The NASA astronauts' original 8-day mission, now a more than 8 months long stay at the International Space Station. Both astronauts told reporters they were not comfortable with some issues on their Starliner re-entry vehicle that was brought back to Earth uncrewed by NASA for safety reasons. So while it was tough for them to watch it leave without them, they say they are trained to expect the unexpected.
That's how things go in this business. Like Butch said, it's risky, and that's how it goes in the business. This is my happy place. I love being up here in space. It's just fun. Every day you do something that's work, quote unquote.
Williams went on to say she is missing face-to-face time with her aging mother, while Wilmore is missing his youngest daughter's final year of high school. But there is one thing they aren't missing out on.
I sent down my request for a ballot today. It's a very important role that we all play as citizens, is to be included in those elections, and NASA makes it very easy for us to do that. So we're excited about that opportunity.
And the two are scheduled to return on a rival company, SpaceX craft, in February. Guys.
Thank you, Chanley. Yeah, it looked like he was holding like a bottle of beer.
Yeah.
Brian,
But it would be like floating out. You can't really drink it that way,
bad
I don't
idea.
think.
Yeah, but I bet they want to drink a beer.
They got a sober 8 months up there. Can they get beer up to the space capsule?
That's a great
Well, they could probably get it up there, but what does it do
That
in
would be
space?
my.
That's a Pete question.
That would be my
It's not a
question.
great question.
Maybe you
it's
could do
a
an
Pete
IV.
question.
You do an IV. Whatever it takes. Pete. All right, it's 6 a.m. We got a lot more to go. Starting with these headlines. 2 of the 4 victims killed in the Apache High School shooting in Georgia are being laid to rest today. Separate services are being held for 14-year-old Mason Schermerhorn and teacher Christina Irami. And for the first time, we're hearing 911 calls made by concerned parents on the day of the tragedy.
The Apalate High School, my daughter calling me crying. Somebody, for everybody, boom, 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 boom.
We have officers out there, okay?
Yeah, please.
I need information to make sure my son is okay and that school is covered. I don't need a hotline.
The 14-year-old shooting suspect faces murder charges, and his father also faces charges for allegedly giving his son access to the weapon that was used. And Justin Timberlake issuing a court-ordered apology after taking a plea deal in connection with his New York drunk driving case.
But I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have. And like I said, even one drink. Don't get behind the wheel of a car.
The pop star pled guilty to a lesser charge of driving while ability impaired. He must pay a fine and fulfill 25 hours of community service. Timberlake was arrested in June. Police say he failed sobriety tests after driving through a stop sign in the Hamptons. And to college football, starting with the Battle of the Wild. Rachel, Alabama is going to Wisconsin. Interesting. I don't feel like that's ever happened. Coverage begins at 9 a.m. Eastern. Kickoff is at noon. Here you go. I mean, Alabama doesn't travel to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's supposed to travel to Alabama.
I have no idea why this would be the case.
Well,
But okay.
Let's go to Adam.
Somebody's there.
He's live in Madison. There he is.
Is it cold, Adam?
Ahead of the big game. No way.
No, he's got a stretch.
It's not. It's Wisconsin. No, it's not cold at all, actually. And, you know, this is Central Time, so it's 5 a.m. I was a little bit nervous about this ball game, but we still got students out here. It does not matter, right? I got out here so early in the morning, and it amazes me that every one of these schools we go to, that ultimately there are kids out here. And I always like, you know what I really like to do? I like to learn the chant, and I've found out that here, if I say on, Wisconsin! If I say on, Wisconsin! If I say on, Wisconsin! All right, so Alabama is coming to town, guys. Alabama is like a little over 16-point favorites, right? But do you like Wisconsin's chances?
Yes. Yes.
We have freshmen and sophomores here. Do you think this is going to be like a big crowd out here and it's going to be a lot of fun?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It's crazy.
Okay. What is our what's our pick? What's going to happen today?
Badgers by 10.
Badgers by 10. There you go.
Badgers by 20.
Badgers by 20.
Badgers by 50.
All right, guys, I'm going to toss it back to you. But again, it's just after 5 a.m. here, and they're still streaming in. And you know what else? On Wisconsin! Oh, this is going to be fun, guys. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be something.
I'll throw it back to you for now.
Good to see you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Important to note, they are an hour earlier than we are here, so those people are getting up early.
I don't think they were up early.
No,
I don't think it's an up early situation.
You're right.
It'd be a different situation.
Going to bed.
No bed.
No bed. All right. Well, Trump rallies in Las Vegas. Our next guest says there is one key voting bloc that could put him over the edge in the battleground state.
Nevada, get out and vote. We win this state, we're going to win the whole thing. We win this, we're going to win. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. I really believe that. So Nevada, get out and vote. We win this state, we're going to win the whole thing. We win this, we're going to win the whole thing.
Former President Trump rallying in Las Vegas last night, telling voters that a victory in Nevada could be the key to the White House. And while Trump lost the state in the last two election cycles, the latest polls have them virtually tied. Jesus Marquez is a Las Vegas political consultant and the spokesman for a Latino coalition that backs Trump. And he joins us now. Welcome, Jesus. It's great to have you on. So the number in Nevada that I have is 54 Harris, 41 Trump. Do you think that there is a chance that Trump could overtake Harris in Nevada with Hispanics?
Oh, absolutely. Now, the number you mentioned is on Latinos, Hispanics. Remember, when was the last time a Republican candidate got over 40% or even over 30% of the Latino vote? And Donald Trump is doing exactly that. Absolutely, we can take Nevada, and Latinos will be a big part of that. And it's because Latinos are hurting just like any other Americans, and Donald Trump is the solution for that.
So let's talk really quick about immigration, because immigration is such an interesting topic with Latinos, because I think Democrats thought when they opened the border that this was a positive for Hispanics, that they would win Hispanics over because they would be able to paint anybody who wanted to control immigration as a racist or somebody who's anti-immigrant. Why has illegal immigration been actually a driver towards Trump for Hispanics?
Oh, that's because when Hispanics, when Latinos look at what's happening at the border, we don't like it. We don't like the fact that in the last 3.5 years, more than 10 million, even some people say over about 20 million undocumented people have come in across, jumping the line, taking services, social services that never were offered to other Hispanics. And now Latinos, who are the working class of America, or at least part of the working class of America, are paying for those services. They don't like the fact of being Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. That's the reality.
So you rightfully pointed to the number one issue facing Hispanics, who, as you rightly say, are solidly part of the working class in America. Hispanic Americans care about inflation. Kamala Harris was offered a chance to answer a question about inflation and what she would do about it at the debate. And then if you were watching our show, you just saw that there's a local reporter in Pennsylvania who also asked her about it, and she didn't answer. She started talking about her lawn and her mom. What kind of reaction will Hispanics have to that kind of evasion to something that so directly impacts their lives?
Well, Rachel, is because Kamala Harris is dodging the question because she's the cause of inflation. And yes, this is absolutely affecting Latino families in America. You know, the working class, including Hispanics, we are working, just to put food on the table, to get our kids to college, to open a small business, to buy our new home. And all those things have been, just taken away because of inflation. The cost of living is way up to the roof. And all this is because of the high spending of the government. What Kamala Harris done in the last 3.5 years has affected this tremendously. And we don't like that. We want to have the same economy that we had when Donald Trump was in office, where everything was really good. And that part of that is also the border. You know, when you have millions of undocumented people coming across the border, taking the jobs of other Latinos, that's another thing. Yeah. You know, these people are competing with Hispanics, not with other groups. So definitely not good for the Latino community.
Yeah. You know, Cesar Chavez understood that way back in the day. He would say he did not want illegal immigration because he said it was going to drive the wages down of Hispanic Americans. That's happening right now, and you're right to point that out. Jesus Marquez, thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll see what happens in Nevada. It's going to be a clincher.
One last thing, tax on taps and no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. That's going to also benefit Latinos. So we look forward for that too.
Yeah, that is a great issue for Nevada specifically. Great point. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
You got it. All right. Well, Vladimir Putin threatening war with NATO, but Biden brushes off concerns as Russian jets were again detected off of Alaska. Former U.S. ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn. You know?
Vice President Kamala Harris still dodging questions on how she plans to bring down prices in a new interview with a local Pennsylvania station, her first solo interview since becoming the Democrat nominee. Here to react, Pittsburgh-based columnist and Washington Examiner national political reporter Selena Zito. Selena, good to see you. That was an interesting little soundbite there, talking a lot about lawn care when it comes to the economy. Your reaction to it?
Well, you know, he really handed the question to her in terms of, please give me specifics, because he understands. He's in Philadelphia. He's a reporter. He sees what's going on in not just in Philly, but all around the collar counties of Philadelphia, that people are having problems. They're having concerns, not just personally in their family budgets, but also in their community with crime and homelessness. And so that she was unable to give specifics, you know, was very disappointing for Pennsylvania voters, because it's very easy to say what the specifics are, right? You address inflation, you address crime, you address homelessness with whatever your policies are. And she was unable to do that. And it's sort of the same problem that she had in the debate. While most people agree that she won it on style and performance, people also agree that she didn't give any indication of what her specific positions are on the things that matter most to voters. And so she didn't earn any voters either.
Right. And you know, the long preamble to actually getting to her policy, I think, is the most telling thing there. She was also asked, you know, what makes you different from President Biden? You're the new person on the ticket. How do voters distinguish you from him? Listen to how she answered that question.
Some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And You know, I offer a new generation of leadership.
As you drove here today, you likely saw a lot of Trump signs. How do you speak to his voters?
Based on experience and a lived experience, no. In my heart, I know, in my soul, I know that the vast majority of us as Americans have so much more in common than what separates us.
Selena, I don't think she knows how to answer that question. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, and here's why. As an individual candidate who ran in California, she's never had to earn votes from people who think differently than her or have different experiences. What do I mean? Independent voters, conservative Democrats, Republicans. California is basically an almost all Democrat state in terms of what matters, that turns out a win in California. So, of course, she doesn't know how to answer that question because she doesn't know people like a Trump supporter or a wavering Trump supporter and what their issues are and what she needs to do to learn them. In terms of differing herself from Biden, that's a problem. You know, people, fracking in this state, she continues to say she doesn't support banning it. Then Joe Biden in this state placed a moratorium on liquid natural gas being exported. That is a ban. And 2 days ago, Asian countries said they're not going to buy LNGs from the United States.
Buổi sáng thứ 12. Một buổi chiều để kết hàng. Hàng tiếp theo. Bảy mũi kép chung một chân. Một mũi đơn. Bảy mũi kép chung chân lần thứ hai. Mũi đơn thứ hai. Bảy mũi kép chung chân lần thứ ba. Mũi đơn thứ ba. Bảy mũi kép chung chân lần thứ tư. Một mũi đơn. Bảy mũi kép chung chân lần thứ năm. Mũi đơn thứ bảy. Mũi đơn thứ năm. Bảy mũi kép chung chân lần thứ sáu.